Hi, everybody. It is Wednesday, January 27th. Um, I'm going to try to start off kind of like a series of videos that I'm going to do to explain things the best I can. And so, just to qualify, I actually kind of made myself a little format. And whether it sounds crazy or not, yeah, I get downloads of information. You know, some people might call it inspiration, or your guardian angel's talking to you. I'm not sure. I don't necessarily. Well, to be honest, I'm starting to learn where it's coming from because they've been explaining that too. But when I first started getting them, I was like, "Well, is it just my own thoughts?" But it seemed a little too informed for my thoughts. Um, okay, so I'm gonna try to make them kind of short. I don't like going on too much more than 10 or 15 minutes. So I have a lot of information to go through. So I'm going to start someplace, just a certain topic, and then I'll sort of expand on it. Um, but also, I kind of want to explain to you kind of what we're going through right now and what people, what you'll hear, especially if you look up other videos about other people talking about what's kind of going on, is this is called, or we're calling it, the Great Awakening. Now, it isn't just the awakening to corruption, because yeah, that's part of it for sure. It is us, finding out that hey, our tax dollars haven't been spent the way they said they were going to spend them, and boy, a lot of governments are crooked, and there's a lot of nefarious things going on out there, and whatever. We're waking up to that too, for sure. That's part of the Great Awakening. But kind of what they've been telling me and showing me is this Great Awakening is for us to wake up to who we are and what we're doing here. So it's a huge topic. It isn't just sort of like exposing the corruption and then it's like, okay, then we get back to work and I just get back to my daily job of making money. This whole money thing is a trap too. Everything, like, we've been lied to and basically manipulated so much here on this planet that yeah, something's going on. And so and that's what I'm about to explain to you as best as I can, because I get a lot of information. Um, so, like I said, I've been writing a lot of it down. So I'm going to explain to you what my guides or whatever has been telling me. So, from my perspective, you got to understand, I'm my physical brain, and I'm trying to understand things because I'm a very inquisitive guy anyway. I try to look things up, on the internet, and I surf different subjects and figure out what people are talking about, and like everybody else, some things resonate with you, and then some things don't. Like some things, like, oh come on, that's kind of that's far fetched. I'm not sure about that, so I'll skip that video, go on to something else. But then when I get onto a topic, it's like, wait a minute, this rings true to me, or this makes sense, or something. So I'll listen to it more. So we all have our own personal guides that way to try to keep us focused on what we perceive as true. But we've been lied to a lot on this planet. So yeah, the more, it's almost like the more you research, the more you realize, wow, it's mixed in with a bunch of lies. So it's pretty hard to figure out what's the truth and what's a lie. Um, so I've decided to kind of make a format, and what I what I've what I've done is, first of all, put something down on paper, because usually I'm just trying to rattle off some thoughts, but I'm trying to be more organized. So what I've done is I've made kind of points of things that to talk about, and then I'll. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend as if I'm somebody that's phoning into my own personal little radio show or something, and the questions that I know I'd like to hear the answers to. So I basically did it in point form. I'm asking questions, and then I'm going to explain what I have discovered myself, my own personal research, as well as what I've been told, and that's why I put two and two together a lot. I was like, wow, okay, that makes sense. Because, and then said this on previous videos. And as you know, I've tried to explain a lot of this stuff in a lot of videos before this one too. But I'm going to be trying to be more concise and not sort of all over the place on that. So for this episode, and I'm going to try to make them more often too, so for the people that actually follow me and think these subjects are interesting to them. So this one's going to be called Explain the ET Connections. Now, like I said, this Great Awakening is really about us waking up to the bigger picture, the real bigger picture. What's going on. So, and it's multi-layered. I mean, there's just so much to cover. So that's why I have to try to organize as much as I can. So I've got a list of questions here, and I'm gonna cover them all. Like for instance, the number one is, what are ETs, extraterrestrials? And the second question is some basic who is who out there, kind of. Number three is, why do we rarely see them? See, these are all questions like I know that I asked for sure. And then another question is, who's in control and why? And disclosure, like why don't our governments tell us this stuff if they know? Because we know that they know something's going on, but they're hiding it. Okay, and then next question is the free will, that type of thing. How does that play into this? And another question is timelines. How do they factor into all this? Let's see. Yeah, like just a whole list of them. So I'm going to start at the beginning. I know I'm not great at this, but I'm just going to try to simplify things as best I can. Okay. What are ETs? That type of thing. Okay. So what I've been shown, what I've researched, and what I've been told is, basically we're all ETs. Our particular race is. Yeah, like let me put it this way: if we visited another country, we even call them that almost here, like aliens. It's like if you're not from this country, then you're kind of like an alien to us. So, so extraterrestrials really are basically off-planet entities, and that's why we call them kind of aliens too, as in they're alien to Earth. But what we're talking about here is their physical form. Not necessarily their spirit, what's inside them. So, I mean, an example I'll give you is, take for instance, I live in Las Vegas. Now, so if you were out there doing an interview and you're going to talk to some people, you say, well, how many people are from Las Vegas, or like is there somebody that was born here? You're not going to hear hardly anybody. So in reality, what it is this city is full of aliens, in a sense, alien to Las Vegas. Like we all come from someplace else, and we're all in the city, and now we call ourselves, Las Vegans or something. That's kind of what Earth is. Earth is a planet that we've all come from other places, and we're all in basically human avatars, we're into these biological, I call them biological machines or whatever, but they're biological, real physical machines. So we come in spirits, and we come into these biological entities, and we live out things and experiences on Earth. That's kind of so nobody's really from Earth, especially all the research I've been finding out. Original Earth beings or Earth inhabitants are basically like primates. That's why we've been confused and trying to link ourselves to it, because what it is the original genome before it was manipulated, and that's what you're going to find out a lot as we wake up. This great awakening is we're all these physical bodies, including creatures from all over the universe. We all start out as some sort of entity, physical entity, and as time goes on, it's not as if we mutate according to the environment. We probably do that a little bit because we're very adaptable creatures in that way. But for the most part, we get messed with our genetics. It's well, it's very, very good example of that is, for instance, take domestic dogs. I mean, if you trace all their root races all the way back to the wolf, you can tell that they've been manipulated so much into really bizarre looking creatures. Like, it's like miniature ones, long noses, flat faces, really short legs, really like when it was. So the original genome that they all come from, they have that in common, but they've been modified. Well, the same with us. We've been tweaked, tweaked and modified and genetically altered for billions of years. Like it's hard for me to wrap my head around time, because this is such a really, really long story that's going on. So okay, that's kind of what I'm going to talk about for that question, which is, like I said, we're in a sense living in an avatar. Okay, so some basic who's who and alignments, positive and negative. All these questions are huge topics, but so basic who's who is it's kind of where I call them your home planet, and this is kind of what you're going to be finding out too, is we all have families we have I call them our ET families. In other words, let's say you live in another star system in this universe, Antares, or you're from the Pleiadian star cluster, or you're from all over the place. Myself, what they've been telling me is I'm from Arcturus. So and it says, okay, so we're all from different star families, and then when we come here, we incarnate as an earthling. That's all. And it's really, we come here usually just kind of almost, I'm trying to simplify it again. It's almost like it's a learning experience that we all go through when you choose to do it. It's almost like you want to go to adventure. Like, for instance, if I wanted to move to Japan, it's like, okay, I've decided I got myself a job. I got to go over there. I'm going to live in Japan for 10, 15 years. You got to imagine us like that. Like, for instance, if you're from let's say Andromeda or something, you come here to Earth, go, I want to be an Earthling for it could be even just one lifetime. That's all. And then, yeah, you experience that. And it's usually because you want to just learn and expand your knowledge of the universe or that type of thing. So usually, another thing I've been learning is you come in is in groups. And that's why a lot of times your physical family on Earth, for some reason there's a connection there. It's like kind of old souls. It's like, yeah, you usually hang close to each other, almost like support. And including friends too. Like somebody might be from another family. It's like, wow, you really, really, I feel a connection to you, or you seem very familiar to me. So familiar means basically part of your family. So, and what you'll find is, depending on where you're from, you'll have kind of traits from that planet. So, that's what makes you have something in common with them. Like take for instance, if you're from a water planet, when you come here, even though you're in a physical body, you go, man, I have to be around water. I love swimming and whatever. And then if you're from another planet that's like a desert planet, for some reason you'll feel more at home in Arizona or whatever. It's kind of like that. So, it's a huge topic. I'm trying to simplify these things. Okay. Okay. Here's one of the questions that someone just phoned in and asked this question. It says, why do we rarely see ETs? Well, there's a few reasons. First of all, it's pretty hard to find people that are actually trying to stay hidden. Here's the two main reasons why they stay hidden is because if it's the bigger reason, or the more kind of like the legal reason, I guess, in a sense, is you're not supposed to interfere with these other people's free will and experiences. You're not supposed to do that. So you generally just don't show up. You just don't come here and interrupt unless you're asked in, which is really interesting. You can actually ask other races into your planets and stuff like that and join in. It is part of our social life in the universe. So that's the main reason why you don't see a lot of them, is because they just don't. They do. They show up a lot, and usually they show up to their star families, like an Andromeda star traveler, if you want to call it that, would come down and it would appear to a relative of his, someone that's down here, and it might be because of a psychic connection or a consciousness connection. Like, for instance, they said, okay, hey, like, I don't like this Earth lesson, I want to get out of here or something, so they'll come and they'll say, hey, what's going on? I'm trying to make light of it, but I'm just saying, yeah, that's kind of, there's that. But for the most part, governments around the world basically keep it hidden, and they make it kind of a non-topic. They make it sound bad or stupid to talk about these subjects, but they're well aware. Like the more you get deep into governments, they actually have books on multiple, like a lot of information on a lot of ETs that they've encountered, and even them, they make remarks on them. Like the KGB had one. I know the United States definitely has one. But the Mexican government has one. But they have records of who they've had contact with, and then they basically try to hide that story, because this part of this great awakening is we're going to be waking up to that. We're going to be waking up to we're not the only intelligent person in the universe and whatever. And another thing is our controllers, the people that are trying to keep all this stuff hidden from us, want to keep us dummied down. That's what this is kind of, in a sense, all about, our breaking out of this trap that we're in. They don't want us to have knowledge. They don't want us to have contact with and these aren't higher beings, necessarily. They're like us. The best way for me to explain that is, like, take for instance, if a bunch of people decide to go on, not necessarily a TV show called Survivor, but I'm just saying they went onto this island where they don't have any contact with any people at all, any human beings, and we're all told, like, man, just leave them there because they signed up for that adventure, and we're not supposed to interfere with them at all. But so in a sense, our controllers are going to basically stop. If they see a ship coming close to there, they're going to go, okay, no, they're going to push that away. Kind of like that is what's going on. But from time to time, yeah, they'll be visited by a ship and with lighters, so they don't have to rub two sticks together to start a fire and stuff. They're going to be like, oh, you guys are so above us. You have all this magical technology or something or whatever. No, they're more people, but they're not kept down. They're not dummied down like everybody that just got a loincloth on this island trying to survive. They went, you know, whether they signed up for it for an experience or not, but it's basically that. So they're basically holding back any contact at all. Yeah, for a lot of different reasons. But as as I told you before on previous videos, that's going to change. They're basically, this is going to soon be exposed and then some. So it's a little bit of a shocker too, because you got to remember, I'm going to use that same scenario of, you know, let's say you want to farm a creature, which is, that's in a sense what they're doing, is they're farming human beings. They're putting them on this island, and they're making sure that they don't have contact with anybody else, and they always keep them down. As soon as they start inventing things or getting, you know, too awake or too knowledgeable of what's going on, because some people go, wait a minute, I have memory of being someplace where we used to have little sticks that turned into fire and stuff like that. So I know there's that technology is out there. You know what I mean? They'll say, no, that's just a dream or whatever. So, including me, because when I came here, sorry, I digress, sort of changed the subject a little bit, but yeah, when I came here, as a child, I remember a lot of really interesting technology, and I was like, well, why isn't that technology here? Like, take for instance, free energy type machines, like they're basically perpetual generators that always make energy for some reason. I remember them when I was a child. I would draw pictures of them, going, where are these? I don't see them anywhere. Like, you know what I mean? We have to get power by plugging these little plastic rubber cords into the wall, and that's where we're getting our power from. Whatever, you learn to adapt, but you know, that's just my example. Okay, that's okay, and then this is kind of going on too long, I know. Okay, this next question is very big. I'm going to cover it on my next one because we're going on too long. But yeah, so the next one, I'm going to basically try to make you understand. So the question is, who is in control and why? But these are big subjects. Yeah, pretty big subjects. And also disclosure dates. I'll explain that more. Yeah, so I'm going to stop here for today, and then tomorrow I'll pick it up and I'll keep explaining things as best I am told and how I understand things, how they work. And the more I go on about this stuff, if it makes sense to you guys too, then it's great. And if not, you just think, well, I'm just making up a giant movie script or something. It's not what I'm doing, but yeah, so if it rings true to you, then yeah, just keep listening, because when I fully explain this stuff, what they've explained to me, this makes a lot of sense. Okay, anyway, that's it for today, and I'll do another video tomorrow. Okay, bye.